Hi, everybody. So last Sunday, I wasn't able to do a live message with everyone because I was having technical difficulties. But here we are this Sunday. Glad to be here with everyone. And I have already gotten some things for myself personally and things that I want to share in my newsletter and stuff today, but I actually have no idea what spirit is about to bring through and have me share with you all in this live message for the week. So, let's see. Let's see what we get. So, the first thing the spirit says is that they want us to be aware and mindful of, or more with more intentionality, more like putting in more effort to come together in like-mindedness, come together in community, come together with those that um, think like us or share values with us. They're saying to me now, uh, people that just bring you joy, people that just feel good to be around. And they're saying that there's so much that we do nowadays. There's so much separation, so much divisiveness. There's so many things that were created to give us opportunities for connection that have, in the end, ultimately created separation among us. It's caused so many people to isolate, they're saying to me. And so they're saying that in this time of what feels like maybe a lot of chaos, like I said, a lot of divisiveness, a lot of me versus them, us versus them, this great separation, that um we're not coming together enough. We're not making an effort to join together and really connect. They're saying it doesn't have to be around an agenda. It can be, you know, gathering some people that you don't really know well and that maybe don't know each other at a local coffee shop. Or it can be people that you haven't connected with but you really love, and hosting a dinner. Like, it doesn't have to be um creating a networking group or some kind of book study. I personally love book studies. But it doesn't have to be something, it doesn't have to be some kind of nonprofit. It doesn't have to have this mission involved in it, or a purpose to it other than for the sake of coming together. But they're again saying to me, we are calling you to come together. We are calling you to connect and be in community. Um, it's interesting because the other day I heard somebody on YouTube, like a sort of famous YouTube, or not YouTube, Instagram. And if any of you know, it's this Sugar Britches guy. Anyway, he did this video that I happened to catch. I don't actually follow him, but how it, like, suggests to you in the feed things that might be of interest, or somebody you might want to follow or whatever. Anyway, he came in and he was giving what I believe and how I felt it to be a really heartfelt message. And I'll be honest, I didn't watch the whole thing. But I what I got of it was that he was talking about that he spent many years showing up at different people's tables, trying to find his seat, trying to find his voice. And that ultimately he came to realize he needed to create his own table. And so they brought that to me in reminder earlier today for a different purpose, one that I will do probably a little short video on. But they're bringing it up again now cuz they're saying that the reality of the situation is that it's never about hmm, I mean, that was my head wanting to speak and they just kind of grabbed my tongue there. Um so what they're saying to me is that if you feel like you don't have a table to go to, that you should not be afraid to create your own. And that mm, was something I actually felt that in my heart center when they just said this to me. What they just said to me was, you don't know who may really need, or the way that you can be helping somebody, connecting with somebody that needs it, perpetuating them in their healing. I don't That's not really the word that they want to use or I want to use, but it's the way that people recognize um in their healing journey, that by you taking the initiative to create some kind of table for people to come together at, you don't realize the impact that that could have on saving someone. And that we need to be mindful. They're reminding us. We need to be mindful of the fact that at any one point in time, whether it's somebody that we know well, someone that we kind of know, somebody that we've just met, maybe a stranger, somebody that we've never known and only have this one interaction with, right? Know that your capacity to create connection and community with them, even if it's just for one day, even if it's just for 15 minutes, has this true ripple effect. And I know that this is something that's really I mean, shit, that's been out there forever, right? People have been talking about like the ripple effect and the random acts of kindness and pass it on and all these things, right? I mean, all this is like common language among people that are spiritual, religious, conscious, whatever. Um, Whatever label you want to stick on yourself. But the reality of the situation is that it doesn't make it less true. And also, we don't keep that in the forefront of our minds. So they're saying, as you move forward in this week, how can you be creating not just those moments of connection, but they're asking us to bring people together, create community. They're like 3, 4, 5 people. Like, it doesn't have to be 500, but they're saying don't try and start focusing this week on ways that you can either participate or create that scenario on your own where you're bringing together at least 4 or 5 people. Um, and also to be mindful, to have Mm. They're saying keep it present at the forefront of your mind. Keep it present in your journey, in your day, in your interactions, in the stuff that you're putting out there or creating, that you are creating a ripple effect, whether you like it or not. Okay? You're dropping pebbles in the pond all the time. So be intentional about what that energy looks like, about what that is that you're trying to create, what it is that you want to ripple out, what it is that you want to have affecting, and you don't have to have, it's interesting. They're like, and you don't have to have clarity around like, oh, I need to create like a mission and vision statement for my personal self, which you can, and I do recommend that, but that's like the other side of me. That's not them channeling that message. Um, they're saying it's it's just about saying I want to be making sure that I'm doing good. I want to make sure that in some way I'm lifting people up, or I've said for many, many years, my intention is to make people feel seen and heard, because I believe that when people feel seen and heard, then they show up in the world differently and they interact differently, and it helps their health, and it makes them look at themselves differently when they feel seen and heard. And so that's kind of been something, and I'll be honest, as I'm like bringing this through right now, I'm realizing I kind of lost sight of that to a certain degree. I mean, I think it's running in the background, but I'm not carrying it in my forefront of my present thought and actions. And so this message is hitting me too, because it absolutely um is probably exactly what I also need to hear, which is pretty much always the case. Usually there's always some element of whatever information, whatever um message I'm channeling, even in private readings with people, that it's meant for me as well. And so, you know, they're saying this is leading them into this other point where, you know, it's fine to start this community or organize this coming together of a bunch of people, um, with the intention that you are in some way going to give back or serve or create space for them. And also know that it's every bit as much meant for you, even if you're the organizer. And they're saying it doesn't have to be, they're not asking every one of you that watches this to organize or create your own thing. You certainly can have, plenty of other people that um sorry, I just totally lost that. You They're saying to me that it's just about us showing up and participating. It's about us in some form or fashion finding a way to be part of community. And honestly, it's not really my drum that I beat around creating community. And if you know anything about human design, it's not really exactly it's not really in my design personally that to be, which is part of the reason why I don't beat that drum. But they're saying that it's the thing that so many of us are missing, and it's the peace, it's the energy, it's the glue that we need in our culture and in our society these days to help us to start moving forward. They're saying that there's so much talk about the fact that we are on the brink of humanity, and going through this big evolution, and from it's not my thing, but people that know astrology and stuff talking about like the changing of the ages. And I mean, there's just a whole lot of people saying that in different venues. Religiously, people are saying that, whatever the different modalities are. But the reality of the situation is that So many of us are asking and wondering what it is that we need to do to participate, or some of us are feeling like there's so much chaos. Like, how do we create clarity? How do we protect ourselves? I don't know how you specifically are asking, but they're saying to me that there's many people that are, they're wanting to know how they participate, how they kind of help to push this evolution that we are going through in humanity forward. And what they're saying and what they're calling us to do, with some intention and focus this week, is to be part of community, to be part of building a sense of community. They're saying to me now that the more that we can attach ourselves through like a web idea, like the way that we can demonstrate and participate in sort of the web of connection in which we all are a part of, whether we want to acknowledge it or, um, whether we have consciousness around it or not. It's that interconnectedness, right? They're saying how we move forward, how we create ease around this, how we speed up the process, how this process goes into a space of being more gentle, being more healing, being more productive, they're saying on some level. Um, you know, Not dropping down into the lower energies of destruction. There's a certain amount of dismantling that has to be happening in our belief systems, in our operational and institutional systems. That is all normal. That is all being called for at this time. And yet, it doesn't have to be as violent and chaotic and um all the things. Very unpleasant and really negative feeling and looking. It doesn't have to be that way. And the way that we are able to create shift is we go through this transitioning, as we go through this transformation, as we go through what is really an ascension and an up leveling, it's evolution in a cultural and societal form. The way that we create ease around this, the way we make this more loving, the way we make it more gentle, the way we actually speed up the process, is by remembering. It's so funny because they keep using this analogy of like the spider web, and the way those fine delicate fibers that are really almost invisible, to many of the times, right, until like the rain hits it or the light hits it. It's those, they're saying there's a very realness to those super fine spider web fibers, threads, strands, and it being a direct correlation to the way that we are actually very finely, almost hard to observe, very delicately, um, attached and connected to each other. And yet it doesn't change the idea or the premise that we really are interconnected to each other. And so it's funny because some of you maybe have seen me either in person or had a reading, or you've seen me doing the videos. I often tell you, a lot of times there's so when they're giving me information, despite what I'm saying out loud, a lot of times there's a conversation that I'm also having with spirit in my head at the same time. And so I was just doing that, as they were kind of walking through, as I was repeating out loud the analogy that they had already walked me through around this whole spider web thing. I was saying, yeah, about, you know, people like if you've ever been hiking in the woods or walking in the woods, right? You walk through a spider web and you just destroy it. And they say, yeah, and the spider will frantically try to put it back together. If the spider will go right in there and mend that web and put it back together. And they're saying that's what we're trying to do now. That's what we are trying to do for you. Not trying. That is what they do now. Whether we have recognition of it or not. And that there's also, man, they're really laying into this analogy a lot. That there, and you know this, like sometimes so the spider might come in and start rebuilding it, and then the rain comes or wind comes and like it takes out part of the work of repair that they just did, or it breaks the whole thing and they got to start over again, but they go right back into it. They're like, as delicate and fragile as those strands are, and even though we do things and have done things to destroy them, and again, think about this analogy where there's pieces and parts of the web. Like, even though you might have walked through it, there's pieces and parts that still stay together, that still stay in connection, right? This is very much the fiber and the makeup of all of humanity on the planet, they're saying to me. And that they may swoop in and they do these things to repair. Don't think that they're not. And also, we can be mindful of those delicate threads. We can help out in the process. We can make the whole thing a whole lot easier by being mindful of those strands, by paying deeper attention, by cultivating the creation of community, of connection, of strands, um, on our own. Participate with spirit, be their partner, do this for them. So, this is the message that they wanted to bring forward. If you're looking for an understanding, if you're looking for calling around being able to make sense in the world today, if you're asking yourself what you can do, what you can show up, if you're feeling isolated, if you're feeling alone, if you're feeling overwhelmed in life, regardless of what's happening in the news and happening here in the United States politically, or whatever your thing is. I mean, the whole world has plenty of issues right now. Um, but whether you're tuned into that and educated around that or not, or you're just at a space in your life in time right now where you're feeling very disconnected or isolated, or like I said, overwhelmed, or not knowing how to move yourself forward, they're saying the way to move forward with the greatest amount of ease is to participate in community connection. And they're saying to me now, even again, as I'm repeating this out loud, they want us to be very mindful this week that it's different than one-to-one connection. It's different than saying I'm just going to seek out connection. And so they're saying that's important too, but they want us to be coming together in small groups, in bigger groups, medium-sized group, large groups, whatever feels comfortable for you. But this week, find and cultivate connection in a community of some sort. I don't know if that makes sense to any of you. I do know that it's helpful though. Um, and just like Spirit said to me, if you are feeling like there's not really a space or a table, like I said, maybe it's friends that you haven't seen in a long time. Maybe you do like an online, like we used to do during COVID, right? Like do an online gathering, happy hour with friends, or tea time, or whatever you want to do. Um, but bring multiple people together, or participate in coming together with multiple people. And also, don't feel like it has to be, you know, in a really defined space of like a nonprofit group or a networking group or a religious or spiritual group. Like it can just be more casual than that. It can be for no other reason other than you just want to get to know each other, or you just want to have conversations or whatever. So that's Spirit's message for us this week. If this was helpful for you, I would love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear what it is that resonated, that, you know, fill in the blanks, add on to this conversation that they started here. Share your thoughts and your ideas around how you can do this or why this might be important for all of us right now. Um, it's a human thing. And as always, if this was helpful or you know something that you want, that you think needs to hear this, please make sure you share it with them, subscribe so you always get notification of my new videos. And as always, feel free to reach out to me. Send me ideas, send me topics about things that you might want to hear videos on, whether it's the mediumship stuff or human design, or having conducting, running, building business in a new age, new paradigm manner, whatever it is. I want to hear about it. So, and I'm here for you. I'm here to share with you and give you the insights from spirit that you might have questions about. So, please take advantage of that. And as always, everyone have a great week. I hope to see you soon.